people that were dying of meningitis. All of those people died of meningitis. And so they said there was no correlation between their death and the mercury in the vaccines. That is the only test that's ever been done on thimerosal. So we have mercury that's being put into people's bodies in the form of this preservative, and has been since the 30s. And it's never been tested by our health agencies. And yet you folks come here and you testify that there's no conclusive evidence, and the IOM says they favor, get this, they don't say they're sure, they say they favor rejection of a causal relationship between mercury and autism and other neurological disorders. Mr. Egan, can you say to me right now that that amount of mercury being injected into a baby will not hurt it?
It's impossible to make those categorical statements of 100%.
That's right. That's what I wanted to say.
The anti-vax people appear to be the winners. The anti-vaxxers clearly are the winners at this point, and I think it'll probably stay that way. And I don't want to put any shade on that whatsoever. They came out the best. They have the winning position. The unvaccinated have a current advantage because they feel better. The thing they're not worrying about is what I have to worry about, which is, I wonder if that vaccination 5 years from now, because really the anti-vaxxers, I think, were really just distrustful of big companies and big government. That's never wrong. It's never wrong to distrust government.
All right, welcome, Kate Dalley Show. That gentleman that you just barely heard from at the end of that clip was the Dilbert creator, Scott Adams. And he came out this month with saying that he's gotten a very aggressive stage 4 cancer. And so he's wondering if the shots that he took contributed to this huge onset of aggressive cancer. And kind of amazing. And then you heard the testimonial about testifying about mercury and how mercury was only tested in 1929 with fewer than 30 people. And by the way, that's pretty darn amazing if you think about it. And they've been able to sell those vaccines ever since with mercury in them, not having tested it at all. Do not know what it's going to do at all. Yeah, you bet your fanny I'm distrustful of government. Oh my gosh. Melissa Smith, how are you?
I am good today.
Good. You were listening to Dilbert say that it was a win for anti-vaxxers. That's not how I feel.
Well, it is and it's not. I guess it is a win of a sort. I'm glad that people didn't take, for all those that didn't take it, I'm glad, but nobody is taking a victory lap here.
Nope. It's a good way to put it.
And the reason why we're not taking a victory lap is because we all have friends and family who are dealing with all of those health issues.
Yep.
I mean, it's whether our health is better.
Right.
Doesn't matter when my good friend is dying from aggressive cancer or the people in my church. And the other thing is, I still think there is a hush over it. I can't say to someone who has, my good friend who has cancer, I can't say, well, are you glad you took the shot now?
See, yeah.
We're still silent about it because it would be just rude to say anything.
Well, we didn't want anybody to take it, and gosh, for the same reason that I don't want to hear now that they've got some sort of illness. That's not, like you said it so perfectly, not a victory lap. So,
no, not at all.
I know but that was the Dilbert creator. Crazy, right? So we have a chocked full show for you today. A lot of topics, a lot of things we're going to get to. I just want to say my heartfelt thank you to Melissa and Susan for always showing up and always bringing fresh content to the show and studying their hearts out and doing it because they love all of you and they want you to know what they're studying. And I just really appreciate these gals. They're smart cookies. So thank you, Melissa.
Thank you, Kate. That's very sweet thing.
You bet. All right. You deserve it. All right. So you just read a book called.
I did. I'm always reading something.
I know you are.
But I just finished reading. Well, let me start this way. I heard Liz Truss, the former Prime Minister of the UK, interviewed on a so I don't know what it was, something on YouTube. And it made me curious enough about her to read her book, which is called 10 Years to Save the West, Leading the Revolution Against Globalism, Socialism, and the Liberal Establishment. And in the book, she kind of tells the story of what happened to her. She is the shortest serving prime minister in all of British history. That's a long history.
Yeah.
Only serving 47 days. And one of the things that really intrigued me was that she said that the financial system in the UK put a gun, a metaphorical gun to her head, not a real gun, but they threatened her if she didn't do what they told her to do. And I thought, wow. Coming out of a, pretty high ranked British prime minister of all. It's interesting. So her story, and I'm not sure I can do justice. In fact, I'm sure I can't do justice to all of the financial things. Let me just say this. She had an aggressive policy agenda when she took over as prime minister. She followed Boris Johnson. And she said, we need to get Britain back in order to be competitive in the world. And that may mean we have to reduce taxes. We have to reduce corporate taxes because people will not come and build businesses here because they're paying 47% corporate tax rate.
Right.
So lest you think, well, that soak the rich, right? The rich should pay their fair share. In the United States at the same time, it was less than 37%. So that 10%, can you imagine giving 10% more of your income as a business to the government? She had a lot on her policy agenda of those kinds of things. She wanted to tear open North Sea drilling for natural gas. She wanted to initiate fracking. She had all these things, and it was the UK, she calls them the Quangos, the unelected deep staters, bureaucrats, that put her in her place, to the point that in only 47 days, she said, I cannot do anything that I need to do as a political agenda, and she stepped down. A crazy story.
Wow.
So, yeah, and Rishi Sunak followed her, and he has not taken on the powers that be. She has a lot to say about unelected bureaucrats.
Boy.
In all of their many forms.
This book is called Saving the West, so there's lots of similarities, I would imagine, from saving our West.
By the way, she was advised before she became prime minister that she should not ever speak to the Heritage Foundation if she intended to ever have a political future in the UK.
Really? Interesting.
Yeah. And she did it anyway. So you got to love her.
Yeah, right.
Just for that. Just for her saying, you don't tell me what to do.
Yeah.
I am a free agent here. I will go and speak to whoever. Her thinking is, I want to talk to other people in other places in the West who are also conservative.
Yeah.
So
for sure.
Anyway,
she reminds me of the guest we had yesterday on water. And this woman she's got the receipts. She's got blueprints. She's got proof and about a secondary line, not a irrigation water, but a secondary line throughout the United States. And she posed as an NGO so that she could go to the UN meeting. I love her.
Oh, there you go.
I love it, right? Ingenuity. I love it. So good job. Yeah, I like women fight.
In the spirit of Liz Truss, Liz would say that's exactly what we need to start doing.
Yeah.
So the final chapter of her book, which is really fascinating, is she says there's only 10 years. We've got about 10 years before things are so far beyond control that it will be over. That there will be nothing anybody can do. And she says that clock is ticking right now.
For sure.
And so she begins by a real takedown on how conservatives have become, not just conservatives, everyone in the West has become very apathetic We appease totalitarians in the world. We are totally asleep at the wheel about what the real threats to democracy are. And
the republic. Every time I hear the word democracy, I die a little inside.
Well,
Sorry.
no, she's actually talking about democracy as opposed to totalitarianism.
It's my own knee-jerk reaction from the AP and media, all of media, calling it a democracy over and over. Sorry. It's like Pavlov reaction.
She would tell you that the problem is the bureaucratic elite, the administrative elite versus what the democratic forces are, the people.
Right.
And she uses Brexit as a real example of how out of step the British government was with what the people in Britain actually wanted. The Brexit fight was a hard fight only because the people in government and the administrative, the bureaucratic elite were saying, no, we love that. We love being part of the EU. We don't want to do that. And the people in Britain were like, toss them out. Let's go.
Right.
And she says even now, they still want, the government types still want to align themselves with the EU. They still want back in. They still cave at every whiff of like, oh my gosh, if we don't do what they tell us to do, we'll be cast out. She's like, the British people, that is not what they think,
right,
at all.
Well,
they want to go and let's go. Let's be independent. Let's do our thing.
Yeah. Although I think it's a little too late for me with the EU power. I mean, once you go regional, I don't think you go back. So,
well, that was the thing about Britain.
Yeah.
They did go back.
Yeah.
They did vote for Brexit.
Right.
They absolutely did.
Right.
And then almost immediately. And this is something else I think.
We're going to have to go to break, but we're going to come right back. So hang on that thought. Be right back. Kate Dalley Show.
I hear every day about the products you all wish MyPillow carried. Well, guess what? We probably do. Slippers, bathrobes, pet beds, blankets, mattresses, sleepwear, loungewear, duvets, comforters, pot holders, aprons, oven mitts, and so much more. And they're all on sale. For example, get our best-selling standard MyPillows for only $14.98. Body pillows, $29.98. 6-piece bath towels or kitchen towel sets, just $29.98. Multi-use MyPillow 2.0s with pillowcase, $9.98. Save $40 on our Spring Percale and Giza Dream bedsheet sets. Any size, any color, and so much more. So go to MyPillow.com or call the number on your screen. Use your promo code to save up to 80% on all MyPillow products. And I've never done this before. When you spend $100 or more, you're going to get 2 standard MyPillows absolutely free.
I love it. The protest song, basically what she was talking about, Melissa. So welcome back to the show. Allfamilypharmacy.com and /Kate. I would always get scripts and get prepared for things when everybody on the planet isn't doing it. And right now, supplies are in. Be taking ivermectin, do a cleanse this summer. Commit yourself to that. And I just read about another ivermectin cancer story. So ivermectin story. And so it's just really amazing what people are doing with ivermectin. So please go get that and fenbendazole, sorry. And go get both of those at allfamilypharmacy.com /Kate. And then put in the code Kate10, you'll get 10% off, which is really nice. And they ship it to you really fast. So I love it that you have an option. All right, Melissa. And I know there were problems with Brexit. I know that there were some things that they kind of switched on them after that. And so I know there were some issues, but this woman sounds like a fighter. She wrote this book called Saving the West.
10 years to save the West.
10 years to save the West. Sorry. Yeah. Okay. I love it.
So her analysis of Brexit would be that the people of Britain wanted Brexit, but the government leaders and the unelected bureaucracy did not want it.
Why? Yeah.
And so when they called for the vote and it passed, which I think surprised many people in the government offices in Whitehall, if you will, that they immediately began to figure out how they could put the brakes on it, so that Britain, the government types still wanted to be part of the EU. And so they were already shuffling the cards so that Brexit wouldn't happen as effectively as it could have.
Right.
So here's what she says. And when she's talking about big government, and I think this is a true lesson for American conservatives to really hear and embrace. She says, too many conservatives, rather than seeking to roll back the encroachment, have tried instead to bring the government machine under conservative control. This is a futile exercise. Whatever some might claim, big government has never been a friend of conservatism. It takes power away from individuals and families, it saps enterprise, and it creates hundreds of thousands of jobs for leftists. So she says, and I kind of agree with her, the big mistake that the complacent right has made is thinking that somehow we can control it.
Right.
And she's like, you can't control it. You can only overthrow it. Wow.
Well, I mean, we have had examples. Yeah. I mean,
well,
and
if you, I just reminds me of Trump's first term.
Right.
When, I think he thought he could control it, and he can't. It controlled him. The tail wags the dog, not the other way around.
Yeah.
So I think that's a really important thing. And she talks about the just general leftward drift that is inevitable as government grows bigger and bigger and bigger. That's what happens.
Yeah.
That is what big government is. It's left leaning.
Right.
The only way to restore it back to something more conservative is to shrink the size of government.
Yep. And you have about 250 years to get to where we're at if you do it. I mean, we kind of know how it works, right? And it ain't pretty. So it's tough. It's like you can do more, I think, with your local government. If they weren't so swiney and awful, I'd be more hopeful. But I know too many politicians locally, so that's why I can say that as a fact. But it's hard because maybe that's the only control you have is over smaller government. Maybe federal government's just gone.
Well, in a completely unrelated piece of something I was reading, the comment was made that people don't have as much hostility toward their state and local government as they do toward the national government.
True.
Because it's impossible to believe that everyone's state government or local government is being awful at the same time.
Oh, wow. Interesting. Okay. All right. We're going to come right back. We got a lot on the docket, too, to talk about. Be right back. Kate Dalley Show. Fascinating stuff, Melissa. Be right back.
Well, hello, everybody. It's Annie Cyrus. Welcome to my art studio where all the magic happens. This is the station for painting, and that is the station for all the resin art I do. If you want to check out my art, all you gotta do is go to lutfstudio.com. But I'm sure for this, I hope I'll see you at lutfstudio.com.
All right. Welcome back. Kate Dalley Show. I've got Midwest Melissa on with me and some intriguing stuff that she has been reading. And I'm so appreciative of this because, I love people's answers and insights. Don't you guys? I do. Anyway, I love it. I also... of course, want to mention MyPillow. This is a perfect time to get Father's Day gifts while you're helping Truth in Radio stay on the air. And it's hanging by a thread, people. Please go to mypillow.com, support the show, buy a Father's Day gift there. You have plenty of time to get it. And it's up to 80% off, and you should see the deals right now. They're screaming deals right now. They did it because they knew Father's Day was right around the corner. MyPillow.com. He actually goes to a jury trial, I think, very, very soon here, like within a week or something. Anyway, support Mike, support the show, and support your good old dad. So great gifts. You're doing a 3-fer, actually. All right, Midwest Melissa. Let's go.
Well, let's talk a little bit more about what she says.
Okay.
Because I just think that this is really important stuff from a different perspective. She's looking at it from her experience in the UK, but it's so relevant to what we need to do here. So she says, lesson number 1, we have to learn how to be conservatives again. Oh, so good. She says, we have to unite around core principles like free speech, like individual, you know what I mean when I say individual sovereignty, meaning we get to choose our own life, not the government tells us everything to do. Okay. We need to unite around property rights, the rule of law, standing up for the sovereignty of our nation. We need to stand up for exceptionalism. We need to reject net zero and wokeism. Those are the core values that she sees. And then I love this line. She says, the road to hell is paved with compromise and triangulation.
Ooh, boy, that doesn't describe our government. I don't know what does.
Yeah, wow. It is. It's spot on.
Yeah.
Then she goes on to say that too many conservatives have lost their way because they've lost the courage of their convictions. They've been assaulted so frequently and so heavily by the left that they have decided that accommodation is the best they can hope for. And then she goes, they've accepted the left's terms of debates. This has led to the internal decay of conservatism and a focus on the superficial rather than the important. It has in some cases led to venality and nihilism and the pursuit of power for its own sake. There's the description of what a rhino is.
Right. Yeah.
Somebody who said, I can't beat him, so I'm just going to do the best I can and not worry about it. And as long as I'm in power, it's good. I'm just going to look out for me.
Yeah, that's so true.
Right?
Yeah. When Thomas Massey stood up and said, no, this bill is not good. And it's interesting that his constituency, which has always favored him, started kind of railing on him because he was quarreling with Trump over it. And a citizenry should always be with the standpoint of this. Oh, well, what do you see in the bill since we trust you and like you? What are you seeing? What's going on? We want to understand it better rather than, wait a minute, you're just against Trump? Making it against Trump, not the bill, right? And so therefore, we are now against you because you're against Trump. It was like, what happened to our minds? Were they co-opted at some point? I don't know. Well, it's very weird. Yeah.
That's the cult of personality. Instead of, and how long have we been preaching this? How long have, we need to stand on our values and look for the people that will express those values the best for us.
Right.
And then back those people up, not necessarily like, I'm in it for Trump, win or lose, that's silly.
Like whatever he does, it's okay. I'm like,
because it's impossible to think that every single person out there is going to agree with me every single time.
Right.
But I do think that's why free speech is so freaking important. We need to be able to say that to our government leaders. Why are you doing that?
Right.
I don't see what you see. Your questions are spot on. Oh my goodness. How about dismantling the leftist state? She's just like, she quotes Ronald Reagan. I'm here from the government and I'm here to help, are the most discouraging words ever said. And then she said, bureaucracies always drift to the left. So we need to strip away the scope of the state and strip their power, the power of unelected bureaucrats. And I do think Trump has done some of that. And I'm glad to see it. We need to cheer him on and say, do more. That was the U.S. aid offices. When those were unfunded, I suspect they're not as gone as we would like them to be. That somehow or other, they're creeping in back doors and dark alleys.
Right.
But, unfunding them is a huge step in the right direction.
Right.
Because nobody even was aware that they were funding all the stuff that they were funding.
Right.
Okay. So one of the other things that she talks about that I thought was a fascinating thing, we have to be ready to use our foreign policy for our own value system. Why are we dealing with China at all? If we really believe that they are doing bad things to their people, if they are not supporting or sustaining their own people's civil rights, why are we running to do business with them? And she suggests we need an economic kind of NATO, and I know NATO's a dirty word anymore these days, but she says we need a coalition of Western governments that work together to say, we will not deal with China while they are doing these things.
We also need the corporations to not be government fronts.
Exactly. Well, yeah, there's always that.
There's always that pesky little thing.
Yeah. Well, but we all know that sunlight is the best way to chase the bugs out, right? We need a lot of sunlight to shine. And so her whole idea that we need to remember what it is to be a conservative, we need to be loud again about the values that we have, and we need to be able to defend those values. Yes. She says it's time for us to take back our educational institutions, which have been government fronts as well.
Yep. Get your kids out.
And we need to do all those things. I think it's actually an encouraging thing that Trump is defunding Harvard from government money and grants.
It's a step.
Why should the government fund people who are stabbing them in the back all the time?
I don't know. I don't get it. I don't understand the government education system, because it's not public. It's just government education. So I feel bad for these young parents, because I know that they want to put their kids in school, and I just don't think you can anymore. I don't think you should anymore. I think that you should homeschool them, but that's how we got to take it back. It won't change until people leave. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
The other thing she says, as far as looking outside, she's looking even outside the borders of Britain and saying, we better start playing the game board as it is. We cannot live thinking that as long as it's good in my country, it's okay everywhere. She says, we have got to conservatism, like my mouth is put my teeth back in, right?
Right.
Conservatism has to win across the free world. And that may mean we have to go outside of our borders, not as government entities, but as conservatives, and win the philosophical dialogue. Yeah. Right now, we are not making the arguments that we need to make about why is free speech important.
Yeah. Well, I don't know if we're going to get through to a little French boy and his male wife who keeps hitting him. I don't know if we're going to make progress there, but be right back. Kate Dalley Show. More with Midwest Melissa.
Hello, everyone. I'm excited to announce the next generation of energy drinks, Rev 7. It has no sugar and no caffeine. Instead, Rev 7 uses Go BHB. Go BHB is one of the body's primary ketones, and it provides the most efficient and clean fuel that your body needs. It also helps you stay energized all day with no crashes. Not only that, it produces 3 times more brain energy than sugar, which helps boost your memory, focus, and mental sharpness. It also helps reduce stress and helps balance your mood. Rev 7 does all that while being the best tasting energy drink ever. So go to mypillow.com or call the number on your screen. Use your promo code to save 20% today. I'm so sure you're going to love Rev 7. For a limited time, you get our introductory 3-pack absolutely free. I drink Rev 7 every day, and I absolutely love it, and so will you.
It can just do so much in the mouth, where 85% of the illnesses and stuff start. So if I were you, I would get it. You get the whitening one and go just on my website, katedalleyradio.com, and just scroll down. You'll see remineralization. Click on that, and It'll lead you to where you can purchase it. It's like $20, so worth it. And get the remineralization mouthwash. And then you're filling in cavities that are starting, and you're starting to get stuff before it really wreaks havoc, right? I love that. But go get it. It's an amazing thing. If you want to know why my teeth are white, that is why. Okay, so I always get comments on it. Okay, Midwest Melissa.
Yeah, well, we can't end the day without doing a little wacky science here. Or wacky history maybe is better.
Sure.
You sent me a video of a YouTube to watch, and this guy was hilarious because he's talking about like, why are we convinced that our society is so much greater and better, and that we're just smarter than anybody that's ever lived before?
Which is true. So this is the true part of the, like, this is the part that resonated, though, in a way, because we do think that we are brilliant and we have the technology. And back then, like, and 200 years ago, they just worked with sticks, I guess. I don't know. Right?
Well, you know, the entire past is full of people wearing loincloths and having sticks and stones. And that's all.
Yeah.
Like all those Romans, they were not killing people with efficient killing machines and taking over the world or anything.
Well,
it was just
he was doing it
rocks.
about world population. So I thought that he was going to be talking about some of the stuff that I researched on world population and how they're lying about it since the late 1800s. But that really wasn't where he was going.
Well, he's at least in part talking about, like, look at the buildings that they built.
Yeah.
Just look at them and ask yourself, like, how could they do this with only sticks and rocks if they were so dumb, so bad?
Exactly.
I love this quote. This is from a book called Ancient Inventions that I absolutely adore. It's a kind of older book now, but it says, modern people are benefiting from thousands of years of accumulated knowledge and experimentation, not from increased intellect. And I couldn't agree more.
Wow.
People today are not any smarter. We've been blessed in some ways. And every now and then I have to ask myself, really, have we been blessed all that much? I'm a huge fan of some of the people who are out there writing and talking and researching about ancient people, like ancient people. And I follow a little bit some of the archaeology that's going on. And there's things that ancient people did, like build Stonehenge or pyramids or, you know, even the Pantheon in Rome, that we couldn't do today.
Right.
So how smart are we?
Yeah. And supposedly we went to the moon and now we can't. I think we're digressing. But it's so funny because, so I had Jonathan Gray on. Jonathan Gray was murdered by the protocol, the COVID protocol. And he was so fun. He was such an amazing scientist. And he did a book called Dead Men's Secrets. Did you guys know that you could actually read this for free online? I think his family put this up online. He passed away. Dead Men's Secrets. And all you have to do is Google that and just go to the PDF file and you'll find it. But it talks about the lost super races and things. That guy that I sent you, he was trying to say the population was zero, like in the year 500, 600 or post Christ, right? Going into the 800s, 900s. So he was trying to say that it was zeroed out and we're coming from that. And so that's what the world population lie was to him. But it was intriguing. It was interesting to listen to. I'm always open to all kinds of ideas because I think we've been lied to 10 ways to Tuesday. But it was kind of like, interesting. Yeah.
Well, in defense of ancient people everywhere, one of the things that has just come out, they just did some of the researchers just did what am I trying to say? Like a chemistry examination, a chemical examination of the concrete of the Pantheon. Those that have been to Rome and have seen the Pantheon, it is the most pristinely preserved ancient building ever. And no one can figure out why, what's the secret of its great success.
Right.
And they found out now that they used volcanic ash in their concrete, and it gave the concrete some added protection It absorbs water in a different way so that concrete doesn't crack. Amazing, amazing things. And I want to believe, and I do believe, that ancient people knew that some of those things.
Yeah,
they were master astronomers. The calendar we use today was calculated by ancient people.
Yes. In fact, Dead Men's Secrets talks about the technology and shows drawings and shows pictures and goes through all of the technology advances that they had to Dead Men's Secrets. I mean, that's a free read. Go read it. It's a pretty amazing, actually. So,
well, they in Iraq, and this is not even a new discovery. This is fairly old now. They pulled a clay jar up out of the desert at some excavation, and it's an ancient battery. Yeah, it was generating electrical current. Now, what were they running on electrical current? You tell me. But they had a battery to do it with. Yeah. You don't build a battery if you don't have anything you can use with it. Now, did it look like what we have? Probably not. There's so much about the ancient world that we don't know. Right. And there's more and more and more information coming out all the time. Right. I am absolutely confident. And there is a huge list in Dead Men's Secrets about all the things that they had and could do. And it's pretty fascinating, actually. So go look. It's a neat read for sure. I think we need to learn more, like Tartaria, like all these different places that keep coming up in a lot of videos you guys are probably seeing on social media and so forth. People are trying to dig into the past because they're saying, like Melissa just said, wait a minute. We're seeing all of these things that they created. There's no way they could have done that without having some advantages. Göbekli Tepe in Turkey was completely unknown until about the last 10 years, within the last 10 years. Right. And since they found Göbekli Tepe, which is the oldest site that they found, they found another one older than that. And they found this huge underground network of caverns it was a city, an underground city of like 20,000 people. Oh, yeah. And no one knows how they made that work either or why they did it.
Midwest Melissa, thanks for coming on. Appreciate you. And 10 Years to Save the West, I think was the book. So thank you for that. And then on to Susan and be right back. Kate Dalley Show. Don't go anywhere. KateDalleyRadio.com.
I hear every day about the products you all wish MyPillow carried. Well, guess what? We probably do. Slippers, bathrobes, pet beds, blankets, mattresses, sleepwear, loungewear, duvets, comforters, pot holders, aprons, oven mitts, and so much more. And they're all on sale. For example, get our best-selling standard MyPillows for only $14.98. Body pillows, $29.98. 6-piece bath towels or kitchen towel sets, just $29.98. Multi-use MyPillow 2.0s with pillowcase, $9.98. Save $40 on our Spring Percale and Giza Dream bedsheet sets. Any size, any color, and so much more. So go to MyPillow.com or call the number on your screen. Use your promo code to save up to 80% on all MyPillow products. And I've never done this before. When you spend $100 or more, you're going to get 2 standard MyPillows absolutely free.
When you do that, you are producing a hormone in the brain that is responsible for the melanin production in your skin. So that's where your skin protection occurs. If you are not producing that, your skin becomes susceptible to even sunlight. Let's say you wear sunshades, the body thinks it's dark outside, and it doesn't make that hormone that is responsible for producing the melanin to protect your skin. The light is needed. Every cell communicates with every other cell through light. Our cells require sunlight to grow and reproduce themselves, so that you have a new body constantly created over and over and over again.
All about sunglasses. I'll post that clip, by the way. And it's important because I think between that and the chemicals, you had this the chemicals in sunscreen, you had this huge uptick in melanoma that you didn't have before. And people were working in the fields continuously, right? And were outside all the time, but curiously did not have these rates of cancer. So it isn't from being outside. It's from these types of things. So we're all affected by these types of things, these new inventions called the sunglasses. And then, of course, you've got all the chemicals that started in the sunscreen. And I know right now it's summer, so everyone is slathering themselves in sunscreen. Oh my gosh, don't. Don't do it. Just be smart about being in the sun, but do not. Oh my gosh. Ugh. Anyway, all right. I have got Susan Reeve with me, and a big thank you to Melissa. And I'll say the same thing I said in the last hour. I really love these women. They spend a lot of time researching, and they come on the show, and they do a great job. And I don't know what I'd do without them. So I really love these two gals. So anyway, Susan, thank you. Big thank you. Okay, so let's get going. We have a lot to talk about, don't we? Where do you want to start?
We're going to start with a director of an in vitro fertilization clinic who said, I can't do this anymore, threw up his hands and quit. And he gave an interview, and, you know, IVF is in the news because Donald Trump has pushed legislation to make sure insurance companies are paying for it, making sure people have access to it. Well, the person who was the director of a clinic in Louisiana said his final straw was these couples who create embryos. Now, most of those are frozen, but some couples just say, just toss them, just get rid of them. And he said, I just couldn't do it anymore. He said, what are we doing? We're creating life in order to dispose of it. So it just really started to bother him. And there's an article on LifeSite News, and they quote a woman who is involved in reproductive technologies in Silicon Valley, because there's an entire push, this huge, enormous investment, $800 million was poured into fertility tech startups, not with the focus of addressing the U.S. birth decline, but to curate the best possible offspring. Now, I don't know about you, but I did not have to curate.
Yeah, that's creepy.
Pick and choose my offspring.
Creepy.
And I got some pretty great ones.
Oh my gosh. Wow.
But actually, there is a way to make sure that you have like better offsprings, and that is to be highly selective about who you marry. There's all sorts of studies that show if you're, smart and healthy, and then you try and find somebody who's smart and healthy, you're going to have better offspring than if somebody's been doing drugs for a long time, etc. So anyway, Emma Waters, in her analysis of Silicon Valley's focus on reproductive technologies, she highlighted how artificial reproduction compartmentalizes, it detaches marriage from sex, sex from procreation, conception from pregnancy, and pregnancy from motherhood. They have figured out how to compartmentalize and make this a mechanical process and do this with biological technologies. So is it any wonder that there's an investigative journalist who wrote in her newsletter the title, Will the Gender Industry and Technological Reproduction Liberate Women from Gestation? We're all going to not have to be pregnant. Right. Because right now, celebrities do this, right? And there's thoughts about Meghan Markle's children. I always say, how do you get two little redheaded children from those chromosome matches? I'm not sure. But they said this is not about creating happy child-filled families, because what you have is close to 1 million of these embryos that are cryogenically frozen and just in limbo. So as our states, as our representatives are voting for this stuff, and it sounds so great, this director made the point, Terzinski, that the focus, as he saw it, was not on the health of the mother. It was on the reproductive technology. Now, I happen to know a nutritional, she's a PhD in nutrition science. Right. And she told me that when she has couples come to her who can't conceive, she says almost 100% of them, after getting healthy, being on the right diet, losing weight. Yeah, exactly. Have been able to conceive. But why do the scientists, why does the medical community not want you to know that?
Right.
Because then they can't monetize it, right? So this was I love when in the abortion field, the medical healthcare field, you have these whistleblowers who say, I saw it with my own eyes, I participated in it, and I have completely come to the opposite conclusion about what is appropriate. These things are toxic and not good and healthy for people. He talks about just the roller coaster ride that these women go on with the hormones and whatnot, and how difficult it is. And I know people who've had successful pregnancies this way. I do. And obviously it's everybody's choice. But he is saying it's almost like a predatory marketing to get people in here doing this without looking at the natural health improvement way of doing this.
Doesn't surprise me. It really doesn't surprise me. Go ahead.
No, it really doesn't. And he said some of them go through this so many times, and then they can end up with ectopic pregnancies and lose their tube, lose their fallopian tube. So there's more to this. This is a bigger, deeper moral question, because you do have all these embryos. And now some of these embryos can be donated to people who can't get an embryo. Now that's a whole different consideration, because you may have used somebody else's sperm with your egg, or somebody else's egg with your husband's sperm, but donating it, would you consider donating it? This is like futuristic, hard to wrap your mind around.
Right.
But I'm impressed with the fact that he came out and said, I can't, this is wrong. Yeah.
It always has amazed me, though, too, at the same time, that we haven't looked at the rate of how hard it is to get pregnant for a lot of people out there, and how bad it's gotten and what has caused it. It's almost like we're coming up with all these different things like in vitro, but we're not attacking what the real problem is. And does it have a lot to do with all of environment, all the vaccines that we've gotten throughout our lifetime, right? It can be all the chemicals on us or ingested by us. There's just so many different things that it could be, but we never really go after that much, because Pfizer, I thought it was interesting when RFK comes out and he says, okay, pregnant women and children shouldn't be taking the shots, the COVID shots. Is everybody taking a pause and just wondering about that? Those that believed in the shots, would you still want to do it even if you weren't pregnant and weren't a little kid? I mean, I can't imagine people aren't questioning this more. And in the Pfizer paperwork, in the Pfizer documents that came out in court, it talked about infertility, and it talked about the fact that that they were telling girls, don't do this if you want to go get pregnant. I thought that was really crazy in the Pfizer documents.
Absolutely. And one of the articles I read, it said other countries have already made those recommendations like years ago, that pregnant women and healthy children should not get them. And I thought, because he said healthy children, and I thought, well, you're going to give this to sick children? And so the fact that other countries are ahead of the curve, but at least now, I mean, it is disappointing that he said that it's not recommended for anybody to take. That was a little disappointing, but at least it's not being mandated, as far as I can tell. Yeah.
Well, we can certainly choose, and we can choose on food too. We're not relying upon the government we're not forced to buy certain foods. So whatever food they take off the market, great, but it shouldn't affect our lives. We should all be not eating that crap anyway.
Exactly.
And I'm speaking to myself.
Yeah. And the microplastics, everything that we drink in water bottles and even soup cans are lined with plastic. And, that is a huge endocrine disruptor, hormonal disruptor. And so I have said to all my kids, are you drinking water that has been filtered for microplastics? And they look at me like I'm an alien. But it's like, take this seriously. Yeah. Because this can affect your future genetics.
Exactly.
Or it already is.
Ability to have a family. I mean, all kinds of things. So, yeah, I'm with you on that for sure. But there is some sketchy stuff going on. It sounds like behind the scenes, you know?
Well, just the money to be made. There's money to be made in infertility. And so you've got this huge Silicon Valley investment it's a little creepy.
Yeah. Okay. Well, all right. We'll talk about Macron. We'll talk about, well, we have all kinds of things coming up. Yes. So we'll go to a break, but I'm glad you did, a little bit of a deep dive on in vitro, because I don't think people are asking enough questions about it. And I think they should be. I think we should be asking questions about everything at this point. Your government lies to you consistently. I would ask questions. And also on that front, not so much a government thing, although I think more caused by it, but also just why aren't we asking why there's such a big problem for young women? Be right back. Kate Dalley Show.
Well, hello everybody. It's Annie Cyrus. Welcome to my art studio where all the magic happens. This is the station for painting, and that is the station for all the resin art I do. If you want to check out my art, all you gotta do is go to lutfstudio.com. But I'm sure for this, I hope I'll see you at lutfstudio.com.
Go to shake your tree. I mean, honestly, in like song lyric world, I mean, come on. That's just a great line. I don't care who you are. It's a great line. Anyway, I really didn't mean to talk. I didn't mean to play that for when we're talking fertility, but anyway, sorry. That just struck me. Okay, I've got Susan with me. And by the way, people are asking me still every week, where do I get my supplements? Let me tell you again, FIQsupplements.com. FIQ supplements with an S.com. Best hands down supplements I've ever had, because you'll feel the difference. And the ingredients are stellar. Okay. They are killer. They're amazing. So, and you're not paying like what you would go pay in a store for them at the quality that they're at. So don't buy over the counter. Go to FIQsupplements.com and use the code Kate. Okay. Vitamin D, the anxiety one, the sleep one, it's non-habit forming, the, oh my gosh, the FIQ bone broth. I mean, there's just all these supplements you can take. They're amazing. Okay. Susan, back here with you. So, it really was kind of weird. I just have to state really fast when Trump was mentioning like in vitro. Didn't you think? I mean, I was just like, why are you caring about in vitro? Why is this a topic right now? That was kind of weird.
Yeah, I think it's studied. They do surveys, and I think they get a lot of feedback on that.
Yeah,
we were talking about the fact about how many professional women delay childbearing, and so they end up having to need some of these treatments or freezing their eggs when they're young, but all sorts of things. And I just think it's like he sees what's popular and he jumps on the wagon. So he's promoting that. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So let's talk about the penny.
We'll talk about the penny.
Okay.
They are eliminating the penny. They're phasing it out because it costs more to produce than it's actually worth. So it makes sense. Many other countries have already phased out their lowest few coins. But I found the funniest statistic. It says we keep making them, but the reason is we do already have enough, but at least $14 billion worth of coins are sitting in people's jars.
Whoa.
Do you have a coin jar?
Yes, I do, actually.
Yes, exactly. Well, it was so funny because I had my granddaughter come and help me, and she said, why don't you pay me with what's in that jar? And I hadn't looked at the jar in years, and I said, sure. So then we went to the coin star where you pour in the coins.
Yeah.
It was $84.
No
and
way.
She's like, whoa. And so I said, you owe me work, girl. Anyway.
Hey, we used to do that with my kids. We used to have them challenge. They did a challenge, and whoever's guess came closest got the jar of money.
Oh, that's such a great idea.
So go ahead.
Everybody had a coin jar, a penny jar.
Yeah.
So, for example, the Canadian penny was discontinued in 2012, but I didn't realize that the production of the penny has risen from 1.3 cents to almost 4 cents. And the mint says it's losing $85 million a year on the 3.2 billion pennies. So the more we produce, the more money we lose. It just becomes ridiculous. But a lot of things are priced to the penny. So you buy something for $3.99, and it does work psychologically where you look at that price and you think that's $3 because you see the three.
Right.
And so now they're saying it's going to have to, what they said was if you pay in cash, they're going to have to round it up. But if you pay with a transactional debit card or credit card, you can still get that penny discount. It can still be that lower penny price.
It just makes me sick, though, that we're doing this because it's all done in steps. It's all done in steps.
It is. And now then they're looking at the nickel. Because the nickel is even more expensive to make. So we're going through this transition. They've talked about it forever, right? But there's an author of a book called The Power of Cash, Why Using Paper Money is Good for You and Society. And he said, we're losing the demand for pennies, but it's going to affect these prices. And that we really should resist. We shouldn't just automatically go, oh, who cares? You know,
right, because it is in stages. And here's the deal. We print money all the time. And so why don't we solve that problem? The actual printing of money and worry less about the coin, the fraudulent amount of money being flooded into the system. But it is amazing to me that this is going to be about money. It's 3 cents to create a penny, which is, anyway, we have bigger fish to fry, but don't get rid of the penny. That's a step. Be right back.
Hello, everyone. I'm excited to announce the next generation of energy drinks, Rev 7. It has no sugar and no caffeine. Instead, Rev 7 uses Go BHB. Go BHB is one of the body's primary ketones, and it provides the most efficient and clean fuel that your body needs. It also helps you stay energized all day with no crashes. Not only that, it produces 3 times more brain energy than sugar, which helps boost your memory, focus, and mental sharpness. It also helps reduce stress and helps balance your mood. Rev 7 does all that while being the best tasting energy drink ever. So go to mypillow.com or call the number on your screen. Use your promo code to save 20% today. I'm so sure you're going to love Rev 7. For a limited time, you get our introductory 3-pack absolutely free. I drink Rev 7 every day, and I absolutely love it, and so will you.
Speaking of Hillary, whenever I hear this song, I think of Hillary. Why is that? So we'll talk about Hillary. We'll talk about Macron. We got all kinds of stuff still on the docket today. I've got Susan with me, and just wanted you to get over to the website, katedalleyradio.com, share the show. And also, it's great for listening on your vacation. So if you're traveling at all this summer, listen to some of the podcasts, and would really appreciate that. And then also share them on social media, if you will. And of course, on X American News in the evening and on Rumble, you can watch the show. And also allfamilypharmacy.com/Kate. And then the code is Kate10. And make sure you order up right now. They've got so many specials going on. And these are real scripts, real doctor scripts, and you can order as much as you want. Ivermectin, I can't even say it, fembendazole, and that's a tongue twister, man. And just hormones, all those kinds of things they do. So you can do practically anything, antibiotics on hand, all those things. All right, Susan, speaking of Hillary, speaking of Macron, where do you want to start?
We're going to talk about Hillary in just a second, because it came to mind when I saw this clip of President Macron of France landing in Vietnam, and his wife, quote unquote, reaches out and shoves him in the face as they open the airplane door. And it is such a shocking thing. And at first, the palace tried to downplay it and say, oh no, that was AI and Russian disinformation. You're like, you've got to be kidding.
He looked shocked.
The reporters, the reporter said, no, the AP actually has the video of it. And then they said, just horsing around. They were just horsing. In fact, this is the statement they released. It was a moment when the president and his wife were decompressing one last time before the starting of the trip by horsing around. This is Macron's office. They said it was a moment of complicity, whatever that means. It was all that was needed to give ammunition to conspiracy theorists. Now, what the palace did and what his office did is they attacked the people who were thinking that this was somehow violent. So I went to a body language expert who is hired by courts to evaluate body language. And his name is Jesus Enrique Rosa, the body language guy on YouTube. And he went through this second by second. And he said this was definitely aggression.
Okay.
Absolute aggression.
But Susan, it's just a fight between two guys. Okay. So do you want me to play this clip? You want me to play
CBS.
this? You want me to play this? Okay. CBS. Here we go.
French President Emmanuel Macron that's causing a stir all around the world. It shows Macron about to leave a plane on Sunday and the hand of the First Lady, Brigitte Macron, shoving him, smacking him, slapping him, whatever you want to say, shoving the face, right? Macron momentarily, watch his face here, folks. Just watch what he turns to the
it's pretty funny.
Then he's like, hey, everyone. Whoa, what just happened there? He looks startled. He waves, and then he goes back inside. Then when they take the stairs, she's clearly not holding his hand. At first, his office claimed the video wasn't real.
Mistake number one.
Right.
Mistake number one.
We could all see.
It's very real. So there you go.
Yeah, and at the end, one of those people says,
"Oh, here, let me keep playing. Let me keep playing."
Every politician gaslights us all day long. Yesterday, though, Macron said the video showed the couple bickering and joking around. He said
joking around, mistake number two. That's not a joke.
So it's funny because they said they were joking around. He doesn't look like he's joking around. He looked stunned, shocked. Yeah.
He looked stunned. And at the end, that a reporter says, maybe you shouldn't marry your teacher. On that clip.
Why couldn't they go a step farther? Don't marry your male teacher anyway. Oh my gosh. Wow.
So it was pretty intense. And you can see at the bottom of the stairs, he has his hand clenched in a fist, and they call that white knuckle anger. This was domestic violence. And I started to think, first of all, this reminded me of Hillary. Do you remember all the rumors that came out about Hillary attacking Bill?
Yeah.
Do you remember those? And one of them was Dee Dee Myers, who in her book, now she was Bill Clinton's press secretary, said that they had to help him cover up a scratch on his face that Hillary had caused. Jeez. And other people came out and said that Hillary threw things at him. And Roger Stone in his book says that she had physically attacked him. Now, we just all kind of think, well, I don't know if I believe that. So people on the left won't believe it. People on the right believed it. And we all just go on with our lives. But this is, in reality, domestic violence. I didn't understand the shove in the face. And so I looked up shoving and its relationship to men and male violence. And it turns out a large percentage of men's fights start with a shove. And it's because they are testing the level of aggression that the other person can come back with. And so then a shove makes sense. But I had never in my life seen somebody shove somebody in the face like that. Have you?
Well, two dudes. I mean, they're good. I think that solves a lot. You know, it's kind of like Hillary trying to come out and say, I'm not a lesbian. And even though she acts like one, dresses like one, and appears to be one. And it's just funny, all the lies we get told. And I look at the Rockefeller women. If you've ever looked at the Rockefeller women, they do look like dudes with wigs. I'm just going to go with that. It's scary. It is almost scary. When you're rich, you can have what you want, I would imagine, in the world, right? I mean, look at these coaches getting these young things that are like, what, 10 anyways, or 15. And so they're just in all like an interesting group of people, because you never know what's going on with any of them. They're all wild, just, bat crap crazy. So
their preferences
Ugh.
are just
Yeah.
so strange because they can choose anything they want.
Yeah.
But you have this clip of Hillary that I gave you because she said this over the weekend.
Yes. Okay, here we go.
Says the woman who, according to all reports, was an enthusiastic part of the so-called nuts and sluts camp.
What's that?
Sorry, it was queued up.
Oh, okay. So I'm not, it said to go to a certain.
Okay. That's okay.
So what did it say?
They asked her, so what advice would you give to the first woman president?
Okay.
And she replied.
Oh, here. Okay.
Okay,
here we go.
Well, first of all, don't be a handmaiden to the patriarchy.
She is.
Which kind of eliminates every woman on the other side of the aisle.
She does whatever she's told to do by the deep state, too. Anyway, very, very funny. Anyway.
The patriarchy.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so,
of the deep state.
She's still, here is a woman who has been cheated on dozens and dozens of times, and she's still married to Bill. So you can't tell me that she is the icon of modern womanhood. It just doesn't make sense. It doesn't connect.
They never are what they seem. They never are what they seem. Same with the Rockefeller women, all the wives. They never are what they seem, right? Macron's wife, all of them. Michelle Obama. It's endless. It's like a group of the most disgusting, grossest people on the planet. Yuck.
It's true. And, Candace Owens had that 6-part series on Brigitte Macron and pretty much showed that it looks like she's transgender, right? Of some kind, took on her brother's identity, and she has not been sued. She has not been sued for defamation, and the author in France on whose book Candace gave this presentation, he also has not been sued.
Yeah, Candace hasn't been sued, that guy, because they don't want to challenge it. What does that say? I'll be right back. Kate Dalley Show. Don't go anywhere. Got a little bit more with Susan Reeve when I come back.
I hear every day about the products you all wish My Pillow carried. Well, guess what? We probably do. Slippers, bathrobes, pet beds, blankets, mattresses, sleepwear, loungewear, duvets, comforters, pot holders, aprons, oven mitts, and so much more. And they're all on sale. For example, get our best-selling standard My Pillows for only $14.98. Body pillows, $29.98. 6-piece bath towels or kitchen towel sets, just $29.98. Multi-use My Pillow 2.0s with pillowcase, $9.98. Save $40 on our Spring Percale and Giza Dream bedsheet sets. Any size, any color, and so much more. So go to MyPillow.com or call the number on your screen. Use your promo code to save up to 80% on all My Pillow products. And I've never done this before. When you spend $100 or more, you're going to get 2 standard My Pillows absolutely free.
Kate Dalley Show. She got the gold mine. I got the shaft. All right. So Susan Reeve was with me, and of course, a lot to talk about. So back to the show, and of course, help the show any way you can. And I really appreciate you guys. Thank you for that. You guys have been so awesome, so good to me through the years, and I really, really appreciate it. Keeping free speech alive, right? Coming at you from Canyon Media Studios, Patriot Radio. All right, Susan. Let's go.
Let's talk DNA.
Okay.
Yes, I happened to be standing in a parking lot looking right across. This was a few months ago at the company in Silicon Valley, 23andMe. And I thought, oh, it's right here. And they are, due to bankruptcy, on the verge of being acquired by a big pharma company called Regeneron. Now that sounds very space age, does it not? And they're buying all the genetic DNA. And now in the past, people have been able to log into their DNA account at 23andMe and delete their data. But now Regeneron has not really said how it is going to protect the data. And in the past, it has not always acted in the most ethical manner because it created a COVID antibody treatment, but it was tested on the same fetal cell lines used by COVID-19 manufacturers. And that fetal cell line, if people don't know what that is, it's immortalized epithelial cells derived from the kidney of an aborted baby girl, aborted at 12 weeks in the Netherlands. And so that they keep those cell lines going and alive, which is kind of gruesome. Vaccine, Pfizer and Moderna and AstraZeneca use the same cell line. And so Johnson & Johnson had a different fetal cell line. But, you know, people can't be naive to think that there wasn't some products of abortion used in some of these treatments. Science, it's just how it is. So Regeneron actually has what's called the Regeneron Genetics Center. And they say on their website, we are harnessing the power of human genetics to discover important new medicines. And it says we tap into our growing database of more than 2 million sequenced exomes and de-identified health information using proprietary data analytics. And so I find it interesting that they use the word de-identified health information, which means they're using that genetics. They're going to be using that DNA, and they're claiming to de-identify it, like remove the identifying person and their information. I don't know. Do you feel like that is like a secure system that people could 100% trust that? That seems
weird.
I don't know how you would ever verify that.
Yeah.
I mean, it's
everything about
like
it.
Brave New World, right? Where your genetic material is out there. Does it make it on the dark web? I don't know.
We did probably 5 different shows on that about 9 years ago, and then a couple 7 years ago, I think, right in that area. And we told people I would not give them anything. I would not do this. It's not worth the carrot they're hanging out. And they're doing something with the data. They're going to be because it was Google's wife's company, and so the guy that started Google,
Kiki, that's right, Susan Washington.
Yeah, yep. Which is a government front. So I'm like, why would you want to do this? And man, people got mad at us because we shouldn't be saying don't do it because this is really good and you'll find your DNA and you'll find what your makeup is. But oh my gosh, we knew something dark was happening. And so why does Regeneron Pharmaceuticals want this company that's bankrupt? It makes no sense except for the fact that I think they did the bankruptcy probably on purpose to make it look like Regeneron could step in and buy it and have a reason to buy it. But I think the plan all along was for it to be owned by pharmaceutical companies. Don't you?
Yeah. What's suspicious to me is this company is in the heart of Silicon Valley, where there are literally billions of dollars circulating in capital. Why did this company go bankrupt? Why was it allowed to go bankrupt?
Yeah.
And I just think it's highly suspicious that now it is being turned over to almost like this was the collection end of a longer process. And now that they have enough genetic material, it's being turned over to this big pharma company. Because the big pharma company would not have been able to get all this on their own, right? Yeah. The number of genetic clients that they have. So it's very suspicious to me. It's not typically how things work. And now part of the people who went to 23andMe, part of them and their genetic information is being transmitted to a different company. Yeah. It's you kind of lost control of that. I don't know how Regeneron, but it's a big company. You can't fight them, right? There's not going to be a way to fight them. So
no. Have you ever seen the CEO of that company? He looks like he's plastic. I was just saying he's got a lot of work done. Yeah, he just looks weird. He looks really strange.
On his website.
Yes.
Well, this is, as we were talking about the IVF, this kind of stuff, the medicine and the pronatalists just see as our future. And we're going to be somehow a better race. The eugenics aspect of this is just a nightmare. And who trusts these people? I mean, why would we trust them?
I don't.
There's no real reason.
He's been in business with Merck. I mean, this company, very weird. Very weird. But you know what? You could sense it 8-9 years ago. I mean, I just remember just thinking, don't do this. This is not okay. This is not okay. What their plans are. And if you talk to Dr. Lee Merrick, she's like, I think they're trying to find bloodlines like DNA, people with certain DNA. They're trying to find that. They were on a little bit of a quest, and I just thought that was interesting too. She had brought that up on my show, but yeah, I don't know. Very, this isn't good news. Yeah, it's not good by any stretch. I don't know. Very, very weird. So, my gosh.
We've got a lot to look forward to.
Yes.
And we shouldn't be encouraging
Right.
people to do this,
I know.
knowing what we know now.
Yep. I put the sunglass danger clip up on SoundCloud for everybody. I also added some other clips played today and some I didn't play. I didn't get to today, but you're welcome to go listen to those. KateDalleyRadio.com. Just scroll down. And of course, thanks, Susan. Really appreciate you.
Oh, it's my pleasure.
Interesting stuff on the in vitro too. That'll be, there's always something. It's just bizarre. There's just so many rabbit holes and so many things going on. Thank you so much. And of course, be faithful, be fearless. And I'll see you back here tomorrow.